Well, welcome to our 2021 Oscar Predictions Show. This is Chris Beachum, Managing Editor of Gold Derby, Rob Licuria, Senior Editor of Gold Derby. We've been doing this particular video 11 years, 12 years, I don't exactly know, but we call it, this year we're calling it 23 categories in 23 minutes. It's always been 24, obviously, with they combine the sound categories. So some of these we'll do very fast because there's really not much to say. They're pretty much locks. And then others we'll spend a good bit of time on. I bet Best Actress could take 12 out of the 23 all by itself. I will say on the front end, Rob, I know it feels like a lot of stuff is locked this year, but based on the Guild Awards over the past few weeks, and none of us getting 100% on any of them, and some of them we got like 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 7. There might be some real surprises that we're not anticipating at all on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm expecting that there will be surprises. The problem is we don't know what they are, and that's what makes them surprises. It's a chicken and the egg scenario. So the problem is I'm expecting, especially below the line, I don't think it's going to go as we plan, but we're just going to have to put our necks out and see what happens.
Well, that's the big thing with Oscar voters is you can look at, say, a cinematography result on Sunday night and go, oh, Mank upset Nomadland, but it's just cinematographers voting. And here for Oscars, just as an example, everybody votes on every category. So it's not just the cinematographers voting for that category anymore. I think at BAFTA, they still do that in most of the categories. But anyway, we're going to start with Best Picture, and you go first.
Well, I think that Nomadland is pretty safe here because it's won so many awards, so many Best Picture awards. But I wouldn't be too shocked if we had a winner like Trial of Chicago 7. So I think that could be the spoiler. I think all the others will pretty much get rewarded elsewhere, or hopefully that's the case. I think Nomadland is the one that's going to win that.
I agree with you. I'm not changing off of Nomadland. The big reason why I was very tempted in the past 2 or 3 days, but my big reason why is every year there's been an upset. And almost every year recently, even when there hasn't been an upset, we've come down to like an A choice and a B choice that we think the voters are going through. Last year it was Parasite 1917. We had La La Land, Moonlight. It seems like every year it's a Shape of Water, 3 Billboards. I don't know what the backup choice is for voters if they want to go in another direction for reasons of they don't like Nomadland or they just want to see a surprise. Every voter, I've talked to so many voters in the past week, even though we don't get to go to parties anymore. I do my secret Oscar voter things, which are starting to publish now that voting is over. They're all over the map. And that's what we've seen at all these award shows, not from the Best Picture standpoint, but just in terms of what people like. Is the Best Picture backup choice Trial? Is it Promising Young Woman? Is it Minari? A whole bunch of people I've talked to have listed Judas in their second place on their rankings. So about the only thing I can say, and I'm sorry to these 2 studios, I get the feeling Sound of Metal and Mank are 7-8 or 8-7. But other than that, it's all over the map, and I think that favors Nomadland in terms of a win because there's no backup choice for the voters to go to if they're looking for an upset.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see a Moonlight scenario where the underdog leaps out in front at the last second and wins Best Picture. I think you're pretty safe to go with that.
And you've got, but we both have Chloe easily for director, right?
Yeah, Chloe Zhao is pretty much, I think, probably the lock of the night. I hate using that term, but I mean, really, I'm really looking forward to seeing another woman win this prize. And it's not just because she's a woman, she's also a woman of color, but I think she did a great job, and I think everyone's just really behind her winning this prize. So let's just put that down for sure.
I hope she wears something better than a flannel shirt. That's all we've seen her in this whole season. And hope she goes in person. We've never seen her really in person at one of these big awards. It's always been on I think she's been on location with another movie. Okay, Best Actress. We've been debating and debating and debating and debating, and really, I don't think it's Vanessa Kirby. She hasn't won anything anywhere, and she's really probably thrilled to be in here. First ever Oscar nomination. among what might be several in her career. She's so
It'll
good.
set her up for next
You've
time.
interviewed her in the past for The Crown.
Yeah, she's wonderful. And for Pieces of a Woman. And I think this nomination will help her in future when people say, oh, she was so good in that film. Let's give her the Oscar now. So,
well, I don't think it's Frances. I've got her in fourth. It felt like she was playing Frances McDormand to me. I think I've heard that from other voters. Not that that's a bad thing. No. But when we've seen people join this rarefied group of 3-time Oscar winners, which is only 6 people ever among actors and actresses. Of course, Katharine Hepburn is 4, but there's 6 in the 3 group, including her. They've always dominated during the awards season. It's not been, Daniel Day-Lewis wins everywhere for Lincoln, for an example. So Frances has only won the BAFTA, and so I think it's one of the other 3 ladies, and I'm going with Carey Mulligan. I've had Andra Day forever. For 20 years in a row, one of the 2 Globe Best Actress winners, comedy or drama, has won Best Actress of the Oscars, which would be Andra Day because Rosamund Pike is not nominated. You have to go back to Halle Berry. But I have 3 reasons for Carey. One is Globe voters are just so fascinated with musical performances. I think that helped Andra Day. 2 is BAFTA went to that crazy committee thing this year where only 7 or 8 people chose who was going to be nominated for Best Actress. There is 100% no doubt in my mind that Carey Mulligan would have won if she'd been nominated at BAFTA, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. If she had won Critics' Choice in BAFTA, game over. So that's why I'm going with Carey.
Okay, so I think Andra Day, wonderful, but I never bought the argument that she was really a contender here. I know she won the Globe, but I think that's a really Globey thing. As you say, they love musical performances. And her film wasn't well received. Let's be real here. It got nothing else, and the reviews for it were quite lukewarm. So I think Andra Day, as wonderful as she was, this is her first nomination. She'll be back for more, just like Vanessa Kirby. And I agree with you with Frances McDormand. I don't think we're ready for her to win yet another Oscar for her.
And she's going to win. She's going to get an Oscar for Best
She's going to get an Oscar anyway. I don't know if the voters necessarily think about that stuff, but I think it doesn't help her. So here we have the conundrum. Is it Carey Mulligan or is it Viola Davis? And I've had Carey Mulligan for some time because my argument has been, I don't care about the critics. I don't think many people care about Critics' Choice, but I think they do care that they love this film, and it's got, I think, 6 nominations across the board, including Best Picture and Best Director, Best Screenplay. It probably will win elsewhere. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think this is where they can really reward the film because it's really all about her. And I think she was very unlucky at BAFTA. Had she won the BAFTA or been nominated and won, we'll be feeling more.
Which they've had the other system for decades, so she really lucked out.
Yes, and to be honest, I'm quite happy that the BAFTAs like to go their own way. They don't want to be predictive of the Oscars anymore, which is good. They should just be doing their own thing. However, it doesn't make our jobs much easier. So then here's my problem. This is why I'm losing sleep. Viola Davis. We all know that she and everyone in her, her peers would love to see her win Best Actress. She's won supporting. She's probably one of the greatest actresses of our time. She's, I think, the most nominated Black American actress ever. Is that right, Chris? I think it's true.
Yeah, for Oscars, yeah.
Yeah. So I just and I know that Ma Rainey, there's quite some support for it, despite it not getting a nomination in Best Picture, Best Director, or Best Screenplay. So I just don't know what to do here.
Well, I'll give you 2 more reasons. One was part of my 3, which I didn't get to the 3rd. I forgot. But just like I talked about BAFTA and just like I talked about Andra Day being a feature, a favorite type of performance that the Globe voters really love, who does SAG love more than Viola Davis? I just don't know if we can go by them. I think she's only ever lost 1 individual race there. They just love her there. So I don't know if we can go by their choices, their mentality. The other thing I thought about with Carey, and the reason I switched over to her in the last couple of days, whenever I've had a tough Oscar category all these years, not that this is always right, but it's helped me more often than it's hurt me. And I can't decide I go with the Best Picture nominee. This has helped me so many times on like visual effects, where you've got like one Best Picture nominee and the others aren't. Carey Mulligan, of the three I'm considering, is the only Best Picture nominee here.
Yeah, I think that's key for me as well. That being said, I'm going with Carey Mulligan. I'm not going to change. However, I will not be surprised if any of these ladies, perhaps apart from Vanessa Kirby, is actually called out on the night, because anything can happen here. Viola Davis is also earning, 23, 26 minutes of her film, and perhaps that may impact her slightly. And so I'm just trying to find every excuse that I can to justify Carey Mulligan as my choice. So that's it. Let's just put that down in black and white. We're moving on.
Well, I want to get to Best Actor. We can spend a couple of minutes there if we have things to talk about. But supporting actors, Daniel Kaluuya. Supporting actresses, Jung Yoon. Are we in agreement there?
I think so. I have been holding on to Maria Bakalova for quite some time, but I came to the realization last week that's probably not happening. Again, she should be winning something one day. She's a really great actress and did a great job.
She's got a huge career ahead of her.
Huge career ahead of her. What an achievement. But I just don't think it's the kind of performance that the Academy members usually go for. And Yoo Jung-yoon now really does have what she needs to kind of put her at the top.
Well, not only is she so charming in the movie, but she's been so charming on the award circuit.
Oh, but mate, what about Glenn Close? Is there just no chance?
It's a field that favors her. In other words, there's no like rock solid front runner. And let's see. Well, I guess 3 of these are Best Picture nominees, but I don't know that we're really thinking much about Olivia Colman winning this time and Amanda Seyfried winning this time. So it's possible. I did have a couple of the secret Oscar voters say, it's just time. We got to get this done.
Oscar. We've got to get it done.
Yeah.
But
so,
I think
it's possible. It would thrill me, actually. I think she's put in the career. I've never won about Emmys or Oscars or Tonys or anywhere about it's strictly being performance, because it's so subjective on what you like and what others don't like and so forth.
Yeah.
So I love it when people get awards that are partially for their career. Now, Chadwick Boseman, is that who you've got for actor?
I do. For about 3 weeks during this season, I had Anthony Hopkins in there because I just wanted it to happen and I was urging it to happen. But I'm pretty comfortable that Chadwick will get it. I don't think it's just because he's passed away. I don't think it's because of the story about how he was dying during the making of this film. I actually think it's because he's so beloved and he's so good in this film. This is a Black Panther. There's a bit of Black Panther in there as well, that kind of the love for that character that he played. And I just think that Chadwick will take this in a cakewalk. What about you?
I do. I can see Anthony Hopkins winning. For a long time, I thought it might be a Riz Ahmed kind of year.
Yeah.
It had a feel, not that the performances are similar, but it had a feel of, passionate support, like, say, a Rami Malek. But it just never has taken off during this award season. Either people wanted to go with Chadwick or like BAFTA went with Anthony Hopkins. I could see Anthony Hopkins doing it, but I think in most other years he might have done it, but especially he would be the oldest winner by a good 5 years, I think, for this category. So,
but haven't you heard from so many people? I have that no performance moved them more than Anthony Hopkins' performance.
Well, and again, I would, as I did on the Gold Derby Awards, which were announced today, I voted for Chadwick Boseman, but I thought the best performance was Anthony Hopkins. So people can kill me for that, but I just mentioned a moment ago, I'm not necessarily about just performance. And I hope Anthony Hopkins gets another shot because I think he would have won most years. And I know he's one of your all-time favorites. Okay, we've got,
all right. We don't have a lot of time.
What do we do as 3, 5, I have to figure this out. Maybe 6 minutes left.
Okay, we can do this. We can do this.
Okay, adapted screenplay. Speaking of Anthony Hopkins, today this was one of my changes. I switched to The Father. I've heard too many, and Nomadland could win it. It's one of those two, but I heard too many people telling me that they just felt like Nomadland is more like a documentary, even though it's a fictional. I mean, it just feels like a improv, real life people doing their own dialogue, and The Father's that traditional adapted play kind of a thing.
Absolutely. I changed to The Father last week. are pretty comfortable. This is where they're going to award that film.
This is going to be a category that determines whether somebody wins our contest or not.
Yeah.
Along with original screenplay, because I don't think Promising Young Woman is the lock. Some people say, although that's what I'm predicting, because Aaron Sorkin is really well liked and could win. It's one of those two, I think.
Okay, because I actually think this is a five-wayer. Sound of Metal, Minari, and Judas and the Black Messiah. Or I can all see them make.
They're all 5 Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, but that's because of that reason, because I think they're all so strong in this category. I'm just going with Emerald Fennell. It'll be like a consolation prize for her, like Jane Campion did for The Piano many, many years ago.
Well, moving on from screenplay, let's start talking about some of the crafts categories. Let's start, well, we don't have to spend long on a couple of these. Cinematography, we both got Nomadland. It seems to be winning just about everywhere, although it did lose at the Cinematography Guild, but I heard he wasn't a member, and they're very territorial at the Guild.
They really are, and he's young and
there's
new.
been several, there's been several over the years that won the Oscar but did not win at the Cinematography Guild. And like we said earlier, all members are voting on these categories, so
we have to remember
won't be
that.
Territorial here.
Yeah, you have to remember the Academy votes for this at large, all these categories, and so it's important to remember that a lot of them don't really know what great cinematography is. They're just going to go with the film they love or the most beautiful film for when it comes to something visual. So that seems pretty much locked in for me.
Okay, best costume design. Do we both have Ma Rainey?
It seems like Ma Rainey. That's Anne Roth. I think she's very beloved costume designer. But I think Mulan could be the spoiler, and I think that did win at the Guild, so it gives Bina Daigler a bit of recognition there. It could have actually, for months, by the way, I thought it was going to be Emma, but that's just fizzled away. Yeah.
Well, remember, some of these guilds have so many categories. Like I think costume has period and fantasy and contemporary, so they cover their bases. But I think it's Ma Rainey. Now, editing, I keep switching back and forth between Trial and Sound of Metal. I'm going to go with the old stat that whatever wins sound, which I think almost everybody has Sound of Metal winning. I mean, it actually has the word sound in the title, like it's a clue to somebody that's following a scavenger hunt. They often win the same category, both categories. So I think I'm going to switch to Sound of Metal as of the end of our recording here.
Yeah, I've had Sound of Metal for a while. That's what most consensus people that's the consensus. But I must say, I know you have The Father in 5th spot. I don't know about that. I think The Father is one of the strongest points is its editing. And I think a lot of people will have noticed that. So there could actually be a spoiler there. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
There's no weak link in that 5, so I don't know what to put in that one in the 5th slot. I got Nomadland in 3rd, mainly because it's the best picture frontrunner. Now, you and I think, disagree on makeup.
Yeah, can we talk about makeup, for God's sake? Because I just, look, no disrespect to the Ma Rainey team, but I have heard from a few people in the industry that they thought that the work was fine, but not the best of the year. And that could be controversial, but that doesn't really matter because the Academy are voting at large again. They will probably want to go with Ma Rainey, especially Viola Davis's look and the look of the band. But I just think Pinocchio is such strong work. They don't even have to watch the films. It's not a very well-received film. It has 2 nominations, though. It's in Italian. But if they see pictures and if their PR team is doing a good job and getting images out, they'll see the makeup in that film is extraordinary. And it really is a game changer compared to the other 4 nominees. So that's why I'm going with it as a spoiler.
You know what I would choose if I was a voter? Is Hillbilly Elegy.
Same. I thought Glenn Close's look.
Very first trailer, I remember when it came out, I was talking to our other editors and I did a thing with them about how we didn't know the movie was going to be so bad, but her transformation in that movie is the kind of thing that often wins. Whether it's Meryl Streep in Iron Lady or things along those lines, or Gary Oldman. So anyway, that could be a spoiler, but Ma Rainey has been doing well at these particular guilds, so I think it's okay. Production design, I love that Hearst mansion on Mank. I think that's why it's been doing well just about everywhere. Yeah,
it seems like that's where Mank will be rewarded, but if there's going to be a spoiler there, I personally think, I know you don't agree, that The Father, contemporary design I know never gets recognized, but that work is incredible. I'm so impressed that that branch recognized it. But
They
I think
don't often go
mainstream,
contemporary. They
no,
think
they
it's
don't.
just too easy.
That's right.
Score, I think we've all got soul, right?
It just seems like soul has just been
It's
winning
so hard
everything.
for a nominee to beat the same, the same
Right?
pair of nominees, but they've done it all season.
They've done it all season. Is there any other film or score in this category that could spoil here? I don't see it. I think this is soul all the way.
Well, there's some very popular. I mean, Terrence Blanchard's been nominated before.
Yeah, that's a great score.
News of the World, he's been nominated before. So I've heard many people say they love the Minari score.
Yeah.
But he's sort of new to the award circuit. Now, best song, I'll tell you what I chose here. When I talked to all these secret Oscar voters, I've been asking them about song because it's a year where there's no great song in there. There's no blockbuster song like Shallow. Many years you've had like a top 40 hit kind of a song. There's not that. You've got 3 songs that are sort of anthems type songs, which in another year, one of them can win, but I don't know how you separate 3. Husavik is the one all the Oscar voters have been talking about and saying they love voting for a song that's actually used in the movie and not just over the end credits.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, when you go into the Oscar portal and you watch the clips, they're all over credits apart from Husavik. That's a huge factor. We must keep that in mind. It's also not a social justice song. I think all the other social justice songs will cancel each other out. I think the main competition here is UFC, the Diane Warren song. I would love to finally see her win. I'm still getting over how she lost for Till It Happens to You. She lost that to Sam Smith, the James Bond song. She needs to win an Oscar soon. Please, somebody give her a damn
I'd like
Oscar.
a backstage photo of her and Glenn Close holding up Oscars.
Me too. Oh, that would be amazing.
So we mentioned Soul, animated feature is Soul. We got about 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
Sound, we already said sound to metal.
Sound to
Visual
metal.
effects, are we both on Tenet?
That's a tough one because there's so much strong work here. But generally, the Academy goes for the Christopher Nolan film when they don't really know what else to vote for.
Yeah, there's
And
no best picture.
That's right.
Sure,
really, when it comes to like the VES awards, the precursor, Midnight Sky won most of those. So did One and Only Ivan won one of those. Tenet is probably coming here.
That would be my spoiler. I don't have it very high, but the effects in that are amazing. I mean, it kind of reminds me of The Lion King, where it's just all effects.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
International, we both have another round, but you're questioning that?
I'm questioning it because I think Quo Vadis, Aida, people are just starting to discover that while the Oscar voters were voting. And it is, I've just seen so much about it on the internet lately. That could be a spoiler, as could Collective. But I think another round with the Thomas Vinterberg directing nomination probably puts it out front.
Yeah. His nomination, I think, really is telling. Documentary feature, I finally landed on My Octopus Teacher, because every time I turned around this year on other awards, it seemed to be winning.
It kept winning. It's the feel-good movie. I think a lot of us want to feel good after 2020. That really impressed me. That's my favorite category of the night. I love these films. There's another 10 documentaries that could have been nominated here. Octopus Teacher, I think, is going to squeak this one out, but Crip Cramp, Collective, The Mole Agent could all maybe surprise. I think Time's the only one that won't.
And last 3 are the shorts. What are your 3 shorts? We don't have any time left.
If Anything Happens, I Love You. A Love Song for Latasha, The Letter Room.
That's my 3, which means don't go with those 3. I never get all 3 right, but if you want to know who does, it's our editor, Joyce Ng. Go to her predictions, but wait till like 5 minutes before the prediction center shuts down, because she tricks you all during the week, and she'll change those at the last minute. And she often gets 3 out of 3 on the shorts. Well, I'm Chris, this is Rob. We have done our 23 categories in 23 minutes. Our prediction center will stay open all the way until Sunday at about 15 minutes before the ceremony starts. Be sure to watch Rob hosting our 2-hour pre-show with lots of editors and freelancers giving their picks. And Matt Noble will host our post-show with an hour's worth of how in the world did that happen kind of stuff. Because you know it's going to happen. We know there's going to be some that just our mouths are on the floor, like that Ex Machina a few years ago. So thank you all for watching. Get in and make your predictions, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Bye.